It's one of the first questions I think we secretly ask ourselves. Maybe we don't even admit it to the people closest to us. But will I be chosen to survive? Meaning, if something really bad was happening, whether it was an emergency that we knew about, whether it was a cataclysm, a catastrophic event, some kind of pandemic or some epidemic, or if it's an extinction level event where there's very few people that will be allowed to live, I think we all are asking ourselves that question, will I survive? And more importantly, if it comes down to somebody being chosen, will that be me? We're going to look at that question in a bit more, but first we're going to take a deep breath and we're going to see you on the other side.
Supposed to stop the end of the world.
My name is Jill, and here we explore the walkaway life as we train and prepare to face life at a crossroad with guts, grit, and grace.
Need to decide. Time to stand up, jump to the other side. One way to go. I won't know until I try. I need my soul to scream out.
What happened? Even though most of us at a rational level think, oh, there's not going to be an extinction event, and there's all these other things that go through our mind, it's really hard to not notice that there's some big stuff happening out in the world right now. And you've seen me talk, or beginning to talk more about this idea of terminal diagnosis, extinction event, really big things totally out of our control. But they aren't 100% unsurvivable. There will be people who survive. Humans have always survived, no matter how catastrophic the events are on this planet. Now, that number tends to go up and down depending on what the event is, whether it's a plague or a meteor or what we're looking at now, possibly the sun going nova. But the bottom line is, people do survive. The question is, would you be able to survive? But the really big question is, if they had to choose, would you be chosen? And I think that's an important question, because I think the knee-jerk response that I see in a lot of these videos that talk about these great big ideas is, well, where do I go? What do I do? How do I prepare? How do I get ready? And you see me use that word survive quite a bit. And I mean it in a very different way, and I'm ready to have a very different conversation about this idea of catastrophe and extinction level event, because here's the bottom line. Let's say that we do have a catastrophic event on the horizon. Let's say it happens in 2046. So we know when it's going to happen. Well, all you have to do is a little bit of math to first determine, are you going to survive? How old are you going to be? And whatever age you are at that moment in time, what value are you bringing to the party? And at a very practical level, the most important people that would be needed to survive are people that were able to basically breed like crazy, so you have to be young and fertile, and two, people that have the most valuable knowledge to move humanity as whatever species it evolves into the next way of being. And the reality check for all of us is, that's probably not us. In fact, I know it's not me. And that gives me a lot of peace around that idea. But within that question, would I be chosen to survive? Would you be chosen to survive? I think is a much bigger issue, which is really what I've been trying to get at for some time now, is not will you survive, but the real question is, do you even value your life? And the bottom line is most of us don't. We're very focused on survival, but there's a big difference between being afraid to die and valuing your life. Because in that same idea that I started this video with, would you be chosen to survive? If there was an event and the little wheels start turning, is this survivable? Can I make it? In this exact moment that you're having that thought, you're drinking poisoned water, you're eating poisoned food, you're breathing poisoned air, you're infected with some kind of disease processes through the vaccines. And in addition to all of that, we're sitting on our rumps being radiated to death and distracted with electronic media. Let's just be super practical about that. Most of us are living in some form of slow suicide. And this idea, could I survive, is very hypocritical if you really think about it, because we're doing almost nothing to fight for our survival in the day in and the day out level. It's easy to get focused on what everybody else should be doing to clean up our food, to clean up our air, those kinds of things. But the bottom line is we don't organize and own this idea as our personal responsibility because it feels too big, it feels too overwhelming, and it's much easier to focus on some kind of external event and do some version of specialty survival training that somehow, if something bad happens someday, we might survive. And I did a video a little while back about people over 50 and over having between 1 and 5 chronic diseases by the age of 50, with the majority having between 2 and 4 chronic diseases, meaning hypertension, high blood pressure, diabetes, some form of heart disease, some type of stroke potential. And while you might be afraid of a pandemic or a catastrophic event, almost everybody walking around in at least America is a walking heart attack, a walking stroke, a walking suicide, because that's way up there these days, or just a really bad way to go out with some version of diabetes or something like that. So we talk about this idea that we want to be chosen. We want to be one of the chosen ones to survive. But the question I'm going to toss back at you is, what are you doing to tell yourself that you truly value your life right here and right now? Because the bottom line is if we could know that life was going to end on this world in 2046, what would you do that's different today? It isn't about planning for the future that you can't control, because reality is that 99.9% of us would not survive that level of a catastrophe. And the few that will, they're probably running around in diapers right now. So the real question is how much do you value your life, and what kind of decisions and choices are you making right here and right now? What kind of survival are you fighting for that's in your control versus worrying about a kind of survival that is completely unknown and totally out of your control? And I wanted to give just a brief example of what I'm really talking about at a very practical level. And today I put on my opals. I have a necklace, a ring, and earrings that I never wear, and I truly value these pieces of jewelry, and I value the gemstone opal. It's one of my favorite. And the first one I ever got was this little ring, and I stopped wearing it because opals are soft, and I chipped the opal. And so then the fear set in. Well, if I wear it, it's going to break and I might lose it. And so I stopped wearing any of the jewelry that I valued that was opal. And then that started to be, well, I just stopped wearing any jewelry I valued, period, because I did have a pendant one time that was very special and had a lot of meaning to me, and I lost it one time out walking the dog. And so I keep moving the line back, right, that I love certain pieces of jewelry, and now I won't wear them because I fear for their survival. I'm not enjoying them for as long as I have them, even if they break along the way. And why that's really important, and it's wildly simplistic, is that we're really doing the same thing with our human life. We've given it over to a modern society and a modern civilization. And so I'm going to take you all the way back to the very first question. Would you be one of the chosen few to survive a catastrophic or extinction level event? The answer is probably no for everybody that's watching this video. And so if you knew that, what would you do different today? And more importantly, are you willing to ask yourself that very real question? Do you even value your life enough to try to survive all the catastrophes that are around us every minute of every day that we're living in this modern world? So this is a really big idea, and it's not something that you can answer in just one short video, but I wanted to throw that out there because that's really what I believe. Life isn't about being afraid to die. Life is about what you love, and what you value is what you really invest your time, money, and energy in. And I can invest in beautiful jewelry, but if I don't wear it Do I value it? Because hiding it for someday, maybe, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Your life is valuable now, but the only question is that the way you're living it? I'm going to leave you there, so we're going to take a big old deep breath, and I will see you next time.